In today's video, I want to talk about what it means to be a witch. That is about taking responsibility, about being accountable for mistakes that we make, about doing better, and specifically with reference to a situation recently within our community around activism. Please do settle in for this video. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well and looking after yourselves. If you're new here, I'm Emily and I create content about witchcraft, and that's all you really need to know for today's video. So today I want to talk about what it means to be a witch, why I choose to be a witch, why I choose to be a witch, and what I think it means, and what I think it means in terms of a personal responsibility. So before I get into it, I'm just going to say again, I'm one person on the internet. I'm not talking in absolutes around the terms magic and witchcraft and in terms of what is possible. What I'm talking about today is more of the ethics and responsibility side of things. And so I want to make that distinction because I know the kinds of comments that I'm going to get telling me that I'm wrong, because that happens quite frequently. And to be honest, also, I will address that because I really don't care to hear bigoted opinions. I have other things to say about that. But the reason for this disclaimer is because I am not suggesting that it's not possible to do magic if you are not doing these things. I'm just saying that's not for me, and I'm also saying that that's not what this channel's about, and I'm also saying that if anyone coming into the comments is here to spread hate or fear or to tear down a group of people or to say that one person is not worthy or whatever, then I don't want to hear it, and I will be blocking you and I will be reporting you. There has been just, I think, an uprise in this kind of hateful rhetoric and language online, especially towards women in the occult, and I've seen it firsthand myself, but also like in other communities as well. Like when women speak out, it's a problem for a lot of white men. So, you know, I'm going to be addressing that at a certain point. Let's just get into the video. Why am I making this video? So I have a few things to say because I've been mulling some things over since we had an incident within the community, and this incident was involving a content creator who I won't name because I don't want them to receive a barrage of hateful comments or anything like that as a result, but I'm sure that if you are in the loop, you will know exactly what I'm referring to. So a particular creator created a video talking about why witchcraft is political but there's nuance, and essentially talking about how it can feel like a lot, and especially for highly sensitive people, people with neurodivergence, and also that it's okay to step away and not really take part in activism, and at the same time unfortunately created a workbook for £17 which they then proceeded to sell. This content creator was called out on the platform by Isha, the activist witch. I didn't see the original video until I saw Isha's post, and so I went and watched the video, and I did agree with what Isha was saying. That content creator also did tag me within their video, and that's one of the reasons that I'm making this response, because I don't know if I'm going to be saying anything new necessarily other than my feelings and beliefs around it. But I will direct you to Isha, the activist witch's channel, and I will direct you to Imogen at Sapling Tarot, who also created a really beautiful response to the incident, and within that response there's a lot of different resources for people within our community, but also just activists in general, and how people can lean in more. And that was just a beautiful video, and I think really said a lot of things that I could not say here in any kind of eloquent way. So I'm very grateful to Imogen for making that video. I did comment on the initial video and I stated my belief that it's important to lean in and to be engaging, and if we need to not see certain things that are on our feed, that is understandable, and if we need to take a break because life is happening, then that's also understandable. But it's not really a proper break because we're still talking about it, we're still thinking about it, we're still kind of active in our communities, and we are not just dipping out so that we can then absolve ourselves with doing some journaling and feeling okay about it again. We have to be in it to be an activist, and if that's not the case, making a video crying about Palestine and then not giving links where people can actually donate, that's not helpful. So in my comment, I said that I believe it's possible to be active without, you know, putting ourselves in a dangerous position. And it's also possible to take small breaks but then lean back in, and it's really important to do that. The video has now been deleted. I also did ask in another comment, a subsequent comment, if this person could add links to Medical Aid for Palestine and to cwtchestogaza, who have worked with Witches for Palestine and Activist Witch. And I also, in my original message, mentioned those people and charitable causes who are in a position to raise funds that go towards helping people of Gaza and helping the situation in Palestine rather than profiting from it. And I did receive comments back from the creator. However, I was really sad to see that when Isha directly spoke out on the video to the creator, that the creator disagreed and called them gross for calling them out. And that was disappointing to see. From this incident, I've been able to look a little bit closer at more of my white privilege. That has been something that I've been deconstructing. I am looking at these aspects of my white privilege as objectively as I can. We all have been in these positions where we need to learn more and where we feel like we're not doing enough, and that's not a highly sensitive person thing necessarily. Okay, some people obviously don't think of it, but lots of people are avoiding it, right? And the people leaning in are leaning in. It's hard to see some of the things, but like I said before, it's not necessary to see visuals that are upsetting in order to be supportive, in order to be an activist. As Isha has talked about, as Sammy and Sabrin talked about in the interview on the Glitter CYMRU channel, there are ways that we can be activists with our talents. There are ways that we can support with the things that we already do. This is one of the ways that I do that. By using my platform on Witchcraft to talk about these things from a witchcraft perspective, or from the perspective of one witch, you know, I consider everything I do to be part of my witchcraft. That's why I don't have a problem with talking about my health journey on here, because there's a lot of stuff involved in that that is part of my witchcraft practice now. It's inherent in me. I also think it's not okay to use the idea of being highly sensitive or autistic or ADHD or all of the above. I am all of the above. I received my diagnosis for autism recently. I have autism and ADHD, and I'm a highly sensitive person. And I think it is possible to do all those things and still be those things. You know, I think it's not right to blame irresponsible behaviour on those things. There is also a level of, like, we learn, then we do better. And I think that's always something that we can all do. Then it made me think about the importance that a lot of us feel like shadow work is very important in witchcraft, and then a lot of people will be like, no, you don't have to do shadow work to be a witch. Well, you don't have to do shadow work to do witchcraft, no, and you don't have to do shadow work to cast spells or to work with magic. But why would you want to call yourself a witch? A witch that is a term that has been wrapped up for generations, hundreds of years, with the idea of a dangerous, unpalatable woman, usually. You know, like, why would you want to use that moniker? Why would you want to take on that word? If you're a right wing or you're in the middle and you know that the right don't like that, why would you want that anyway? But also then, like, that's not really the point. Why are you taking on that moniker if you're not taking some personal responsibility and you're not looking at yourself, you're not looking at what you're doing, you don't have any ethics? I listened to a witch online with quite a lot of subscribers talking about how you don't need to care about the environment. I fundamentally disagree for myself. I feel that because we are co-creating with the energies around us, we need to have a respect for the environment, and I believe that that also includes other people, other human beings. And so for me, the two go together and the two are linked, and there will never be a witchcraft for me that does not include some form of activism. And I have been an activist my whole life because I would talk about important issues with my family. When I was younger, I was an activist for animals. When I learned about something that I was passionate about, I would dive into it and I would try to learn and try to do better and educate myself. You know, definitely in terms of testing on animals and things, that was a big thing for me when I was younger, but I did not claim to know everything about what was going on in Palestine and with Israel. I've learned about it. It has been shocking. I still feel that I don't know enough, but I am doing my best to learn as much as I can, and you can do that through resources online, through good books, you know, and a lot of these resources have been linked by Isha, the Activist Witch, and by Imogen. I will leave some links as well. And also Kellyanne Maddox has given lots and lots of resources, and we can work together to do better as a community, I feel. And someone in the comments is probably going to come for me and say that virtue signaling, or that I am a white woman too, so I must be so stupid because I'm white. So, but yeah, I know I'm white, obviously, and I want to do better. You know, I'm actually here because of colonization, and it feels horrible, but that's why it's really important to decolonize my practice and to do the best I can. It means that I have to get uncomfortable about talking to people. I'm already quite uncomfortable about talking to people, but I have to be more uncomfortable when it comes to talking to people who don't believe what I believe. So that's part of it. And although I'm talking about it from my experience, because that's my lens, this is not about me. I'm just explaining. There will be links to where you can support Palestine below. And I'm going to link to videos as well by other creators. I just wanted to share that I think that it's work that will continue, and that's not to excuse bad behaviour, but it's to say that it's what we do with it when we get called out or when we get told, you know, this isn't good enough. Actually, it's more important to me to speak out about awful things that are going on in the world, like genocides, which we can actually do stuff about if we don't give each other a get out of jail free card and say it's okay to not be able to engage with it and instead buy this workbook, because that's not okay. That's exploitative. We can all see that. I feel it's important to speak about this. I feel it's important to have these ethics and to be responsible as a witch. So the crux is really, witchcraft is not an escape. Maybe for some people it is. I think when I was a kid, it was. Like, I would escape into a dream world where I was a witch, you know, and before I was really even doing witchcraft, right? But witchcraft to me, it is about personal responsibility and ethics, and always challenging myself and doing the shadow work when things come up. And actually it's really important so that I can now take that and then I can do better next time. For me, witchcraft is co-creation with the energies around us. To me, that means responsibility. It means that I need to be respectful of everyone and everything around me. I am an animist, so I do believe that it is important to treat the world around me in that way. And embodying those things every day is challenging, and that's the point. Because witchcraft, we're not here to be comfy. It's not an escape so that we can sort of be like, oh, you know, I've got my shadow work badge now because I did that workbook on how, you know, awful I feel that I can't be good enough as an activist. Well, I'm looking at the ways that I can be better as an activist. So that is a lot about taking accountability. If you aren't aware, the content creator did take responsibility for that video and did take down the video and has said that they are donating the profits, or have donated the profits, to Palestine. You know, in essence, what we were looking at there was a bit of spiritual bypassing, a bit of like, you know, because we're spiritual people, because we're highly sensitive people, we can't deal with this, let's shut the door on it. And I know those are not the words that this content creator used. I probably have made a few people feel uncomfortable. Abby the Witch did a video as well addressing how white women need to do better. Yeah, like we do. We really do. I am going to continue to aim to be as authentic as possible within my practice and here, and to continue to decolonize my practice and to do my best as an ally, as an activist. I think there is a responsibility when you have a community as well to be responsible to that community, to provide links, to provide support and resources. I understand that people out here making witchcraft content don't necessarily know everything about everything, and I don't expect them or myself to make videos about every single injustice and horror going on. I think for me, the thing that I felt when I saw what was happening, when the conflict started again several years ago and my attention was being drawn to the situation and the genocide, I very much felt that, like, what is the point in having a platform where I talk if I don't talk about these very important things? And also, what is the point in having a witchcraft practice if I don't talk about these things? Because this is horrendous. Absolutely atrocious. This is unlawful. This needs to stop. And this is more important than any negative comment I could get. And this is more important than any money I could get. People do make spiritual businesses. People should be paid for what they do, but directly profiting off of a genocide is not okay. Again, people like Kellyanne Maddox have spiritual businesses without sacrificing their ethics and morals. And Kellyanne is also boycotting her own books from Watkins Publishing because of their connection to Israel and the genocide. So my answer really is I'm a witch because I believe it's important for me to stand up for people's rights, for human rights, and to be an ally and an activist as best as I can for marginalised, oppressed people. That way I can lean in myself, I can learn how to do better myself, and I can also call others in as well and try to do better. So for me, being a witch means showing up. I remember a few years ago, Kellyanne Maddox did a video where she talked about spiritual bypassing and people who were talking about how the stuff going on the planet isn't high vibrational and we need to get out of that and ascend to a higher vibration, and we don't get that way by spending our time worrying about this stuff. And it was just horrendous to imagine that people think it's not important. Like, being a witch, we are in this world. I'm like, we are in the weeds and the mud and the dirt of life, and it's important that we participate. And for me, there are no MAGA witches that I am going to listen to. There is not going to be a Trump supporter I will listen to. I am not going to let someone come into my comments and be hateful towards groups of people. For me, witchcraft shouldn't be comfortable. It's not an escape. It's not a get out of jail free card. It's not a ticket to spiritual enlightenment. Spirituality can be part of it, but what is spiritual about turning your back on people who are in the middle of the most devastating humanitarian crisis I've ever witnessed? It's not okay. For me, this is what being a witch is about. And maybe some of you disagree, and that's absolutely fine. If there's any hate, then I will remove comments and block people. I really don't think that this is the place for you if you're a right-wing witch, or if you are a witch that wants to suggest that it is okay to take rights away from trans people. I don't want to hear about it. I saw a comment from someone shaming me for speaking up about the anti-trans ruling in the UK. I think it's disgraceful, honestly. I don't understand that there's a disconnect there, that someone thinks they're a witch and very spiritual and enlightened, and yet they think it's okay for a group of people to be marginalised and oppressed in that way, and for rights to be taken away from them, and for them to essentially receive hate, and that the only way is biology or some crap like that. I mean, ridiculous. That's not even factually correct. And again, I will refer you to Isha, Activist Witch, and Raven, their partner, who have made a number of really, really great videos on these topics. I wanted to make this video to state that again, for the cheap seats in the back, witchcraft is political. Potentially your craft isn't political. Potentially you don't care about other people, but many of us do in this community, and that's important. And it's important that we're loud, because I think everyone on the right side is very loud. And instead, I'm going to talk about how it's important for everyone to have human rights, and how it's important that we take care of the environment. I'm going to talk about these things until I am no more, until I'm dust in the wind, honestly. But in terms of doing better, I want to know how to do better, but also I don't expect someone else to school me. So I know the importance of doing my own research, doing my own work, and I wanted to speak to that here. I hope that this video has been supportive or helpful. If other people are thinking about some of these things, please do click the resource links below to donate to Palestine, and to read more, to learn more, and to watch some of the other content creators I've spoken about, and just to be kind and considerate to people. Thank you again to Isha for being the voice within our community, and also thank you to Imogen, who made that great video. Thank you to Abby the Witch, who always speaks out. Thank you to Kellyanne Maddox, and thank you to everyone else who always comments. I always see the same names commenting who, you know, are also doing that work too. I'm so very grateful that I am in a community with you, and that we together can build a better community by learning from situations like this and by doing better. So, free Palestine, and many blessings. Bye.